Roach.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker. Tēnā koutou I te whare. The Greens will be opposing this bill. It's ironic that it's seeing its passage through the House at this time. It's ironic because it may have escaped the notice of some members' attention, but we are in the throes of local government elections at the moment. And up in Auckland, they will be electing they'll be electing councillors, local board members and a mayor. Probably the mayor that the national government doesn't want again. But why should we bother? Why should we bother with local government elections when we have got bills like these coming through the House and legislation like this? Why bother with the democratic rights of people to be involved in developments in their areas, in their neighbourhoods? Why should we bother? Why bother when we've got a government that will determine the makeup of the hearings panel that will hear the unitary plan in Auckland? Why should we bother with local government at all? And why should we bother when the hearing panel can, if they like, make recommendations around the plan, the Auckland unitary plan, the one plan for Auckland, that are completely outside the scope of what the submissions have been? Why should we bother with local government? Why should we bother when they're not being listened to by this government? When we have a government that actually insists that we do not include our communities in shaping the future of our cities. And the example here is Auckland again, where the Auckland Spatial Plan, the 30-year plan that communities across the city worked on, is not given the same legal weight or any legal weight. It will simply be given a bit of regard when it comes to the unitary plan. Mr Speaker, we have real concerns that this bill undermines local participation, not just in these examples that I've just specified, but also when it comes to the referral of medium-sized applications straight to the Environment Court. We note that in the bill there's no clear definition of what a medium-sized development is, and there's no real definition of what the threshold is that has to be maintained before it gets fast-tracked to the Employment Court. But we note that when that happens, communities are locked out of the process. We've heard already from other speakers how the Resource Management Act is currently working in terms of consents. We've heard about the numbers that are notified, and they're very few. And we've also heard about the numbers that are actually granted, which is more than 90%. This bill is a solution looking for a problem in most cases, and I agree with some of the former speakers that this is about ideology. It's already possible under the current law, under the current RMA, to go directly to the Employment Court without a council hearing the submitters or hearing from the local community. And we see this time and time again. In my local community, we've currently had our Auckland Council refer a consent for a marina right through to the Employment Court, to the Environment Court, without it being heard in the local area, despite the fact that it was originally notified, despite the fact that there were over 500 submissions, and despite the fact that it goes against all sorts of democracy to send it straight to the Employment Court when our local people want to have a say. The RMA is already working in favour of developers, sir. And what about Māori in all this? Where do Māori sit when there is a direct referral? We know under the existing Act that Māori are entitled to be consulted with any type of consent that comes through. What we don't know with this bill, because it is silent, is what happens to iwi and that consultation. What happens to that when it's fast-tracked, when the time has been restricted? We know already that some iwi frequently lack capacity to participate fully, and that the time constraints that are placed on them already by councils can be debilitating. This government clearly doesn't care about that, and I do note that they are consulting further on freshwater management with iwi, and that's the next round of legislation that will be coming through. Sir, we will be opposing this bill. We see it does more harm than good. It does nothing to assist our damaged reputation.
I'd interrupt the honourable member.
Sorry, thank you.
I call Paul Goldsmith.
Mr. Speaker, it does grieve me to hear